What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania and a man that has returned from a Vegas pool walking on water himself, JC.
I'm back, and I'm better than ever.
I don't know
You
about
guys miss me. I know all the listeners miss me. I listened last week, as you know, I was in the live chat, and oh my golly, between the two of you, Nestlemania, good Lord.
Hey, you know what? I think it was a serviceable replacement. I thought so.
Hey, you know what? Guthrie did a great job. It's just the problem is his takes are terrible. So,
well, that's why he's on the show, because he stirs some shit up.
You
that's all
just wanted your takes to look less terrible. So
I'm just saying, under a microscope, guys, I guess I'm not as bad as you think I am. Just saying so.
You might be worse.
Water walks on JC is what Danny just said.
That's pretty good.
So anyway, before we get into the program, cool little tidbit of business I want to take care of very quickly. There are new shirts over at Jobber Knocker. So tpublic.com/JobberKnocker. TJ did a great job with the Bell 40 for WrestleMania. This is Jobbermania, but also something the old school WWE scratch logo says JK. I think that's one of his best designs yet. So I'm very excited to see that. Also, if you would like to support the Jobber Knocker, we have figured out a way now that there are Jobber Knocker stickers for your Facebook stories, in your Instagram stories as well. Just when you're searching for stickers, just type @Jobber Knocker, all one word. And right now we have about 4 stickers. We're going to be adding a lot of social media things there. So again, please help us out. Please, if you see our GIFs, we're going to have custom-made GIFs as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to try to do a little bit more of a social media post. I promise as the last time I'll mention it, but that's something we're working on.
No, it's a lot of good shit. You should definitely check out TJ's new stuff because, as always, a great job. I'm wearing an OG. This is actually a Billy design, but we have a lot of good designs up there, of course. But I got to check out the new ones myself. I sent them. I haven't had time to look at them yet.
He barely had time to shit. I almost started the show with him in the can. That would have been a great start to the show.
Home, scarfed down some food, and here I am in your ear holes. And Nestlemania.
Better than your buttholes.
You know what happened when I got home? I walked through a door. It wasn't so forbidden, but I'll tell you what, Nestlemania. Whatever happened after I walked through that door could not compare to #my main event on Sunday night. Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega 2 for the IWGP, what is it, United States Championship?
Yes.
By golly gee gosh. I did not think they could one up their first match, but they did.
Listen, I'll be fully transparent on this program. I had no interest in Forbidden Door whatsoever because of all the 6-man, 8-man, 400-man. I don't know. So many ridiculous matches, and then matches that didn't matter, had no setup, no nothing, no payoffs. But Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega was the thing I did actually step in for and watch the entire thing. And I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of saw that the one critique is I didn't understand why Don Callis, even though he was thrown out, was allowed to come back. That was
Solo Sikoa's done the same thing. I guess those two guys are just special.
It's just weird, right? Like, it's just like, well, he has to be part of the end, obviously. So I get that, but it was just weird to me with like that aspect of it. But again, small nitpicky thing. But again, Will Ospreay, I've been teeter-tottering on him for a while, but watching him lick the forearm when they're like, "You sick fuck," and he goes, "I am." I just went, how can you not? And then the wiping of the fucking flag through his asshole. Like, there's so many things he said in the presser, and I actually watched the entire presser because I that to me is more compelling than sometimes their shows is the pressers, obviously. But when he said, he goes, there is nothing in this world that I love more than having 13,000 people antagonizing and hating me and giving it right back to them. He's like, and it's fucking Canada. Like, I love it. I mean, I don't think he'll ever go to the WWE, but if he does,
never say never.
He's definitely, you can tell he's got something. You know what I mean? Like he's dedicated to his craft. He won me over a couple months ago, but man, I have so much respect for that guy. I mean, obviously we take Kenny Omega for granted, I think, a lot of the times. Kenny did a great job in that match, but I think to me, this was a proving point for Will Ospreay, not so much because we can kind of know what Kenny's stock is, but this was kind of like doubling down on Will Ospreay being a star for me.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud. And like last year, I became a lifelong fan for about a year now. Will Ospreay, he's an absolute stud. He's honestly, if we're talking about JC's top 3 wrestlers right now on the planet, he's on the list.
Where's OC?
Okay, it's hard because I say top 3, but it's really a top 5. I don't want to get into this because I'm so bad with that stuff because I love so many things, but he's in the creme de la creme of the JC le creme. Let's just put it that way. The creme, the just creme, of the JC. But I mean, I love this match. Those things you mentioned, I thought, especially early in the match, Ospreay's heel work was mwah. I mean, he's just, the development I've seen from this guy the past year is just incredible. I think if he wanted to come over, he'd come over tomorrow and he'd be a big star. I think he's ready. Maybe I have a little more on that, on how they could do it later in my hope teaser right there.
Wow.
But my other big takeaway, and I tweeted this exact same thing after their first match. Why the fuck does Kenny Omega ever wrestle anything besides single matches? Like, he is so fucking good in singles matches, and we so rarely get to see it now because they're like, let's do these 6-man tags, 8-man tags, 10-man tags, 42-man tags. Yeah, no, fuck you, Tony Khan. Enough with this elite bullshit. Kenny Omega is a singles wrestler. The man doesn't have as much time left as probably we all think with what he's put his body through over his career. So let's maximize what we have left of this absolute stud, still showing he can be at his peak even as he ages and gets more injured. So enough is enough with the fucking bullshit. Young Bucks, tag team matches only. Kenny Omega, singles matches only. Fuck off with anything else.
What about Hanger?
Hangman is a great singles wrestler too.
Okay. So I want to put this out here very quickly because the other match everybody want to talk about was Bryan Danielson versus Okada. We found out that was a hard thing to follow. Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega, and I think even Bryan Danielson, said in the presser, like, I didn't want to fucking follow that. Of course, we put Jericho with his jiggly tits out before, and that was fine, and just everybody doing whatever. But I felt like a lot of this to me was like you could miss it. You didn't really get anything out of it. These were the 2 tentpole matches, I would assume. Obviously, you can get the social media buzz of like what happened after, with Jungle Boy, or you can get all these little tidbits, but to me, it wasn't worth the $50-$60 for me.
I mean, Ospreay Omega by itself, like that one was great, but I will say this about Danielson Okada, because I kind of was no selling it, kind of leading in. I didn't really care much, like whatever. Like I actually really like Okada. I love the Rainmaker thing. Like I think it's super cool. He's obviously incredibly talented, but it's just like Bryan Danielson AEW is a nobody. He's just like, he's part of a group. He barely is there. Like he randomly has a great main event match and then he goes away. And this match, honestly, I'll even say this. Sorry, Dom, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. We were talking about, because Dom was obviously very hyped for it. He said this match put him to sleep.
Wow.
And that's someone who was actually excited for it. Like, as I was watching it, and I'm trying to be objective, like whatever, because I wasn't super excited. And I was like waiting for him. Like, okay, impress me. And I was just like, granted, like you said, what we followed, which is why I thought Ospreay Omega should have main evented, because I knew that's what we were going to get from them. But if these guys maybe went on before, maybe it'd be a little better, but I still don't think it was that impressive. And then the ending, like, you can say what you want about it, but it just, I don't know. It fell kind of flat. They're probably going to do more matches between these guys, even though I don't know if you saw the tweet from Brie about Daniel Bryan's arm. Like, good grief. He's going to be out a while. So yeah, I don't know.
So this is my logic. Now people are going to say, oh, Nestle's a sissy, a pussy, whatever you want to say. That's fine. I don't give a shit. But here's my logic. And I'd like to bring this out. This isn't necessarily heat or whatever, but I think it's an interesting question to bring up. Everybody can tout how great wrestling is, right? But if you do the strong style, you're apt to get hurt a lot quicker. Bryan Danielson got hurt because he works a specific style. I'm not saying it hindered him or makes him a great whatever, but in the long run, my question to you is, how viable is that for somebody when you look at a Kenny Omega who's put his body through the ringer, from a Will Ospreay who probably put his body through the ringer, Daniel Bryan has put his body through the ringer. Like, wrestling that style for me, yes, it's exciting and fun, but after a while, like, you're going to have shorter reigns and careers because of the style instead of working more traditional style where you like actually work your punches or you work your kicks or you maybe, I don't know, like work together a little bit more instead of having this MMA feel to it. Like, there is a place for it, obviously, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
It's a tough conundrum because I always say, the Miz is the smartest man in wrestling because he's fucking safe, and until recently had never really been hurt, even though we've seen him start to take risks. But and this is always the tough part, because Brian Danielson wouldn't be who he was without that. Just like I know we get into like Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks discussions as well. She wouldn't be the same person without doing that. Kenny Omega, like Will Ospreay, like it's part of who they are. But I think that what has to happen if you employ these people is you need to kind of not like control them, but like kind of like let them know, like, okay, this is a time where you can do that. But maybe these other times, let's maybe not go as crazy because, let's save it. Because it is obviously, I mean, Brian Danielson's already had to retire once for a neck injury and he's come back, and it's always a tough thing because it's part of who they are. And to take that away from them completely, well, then that just, you know what I mean? It's like you try telling someone who really loves doing something to stop, you know what I mean? So it's always the tough conundrum, but I think there's a time and a place for it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of times with a guy like Brian Danielson who maybe goes to it when he shouldn't.
So my logic here is, and again, I'm more of a WWE person. I still want AEW to succeed, excuse me, and I still want them to do very well. I love all wrestling across the board, but AEW and New Japan are kind of their own entity across everything else because it feels like they just rely on that heavy, bloody kind of like, I'm really leaning it in here. But then you look at the Hulk Hogan's and you look at the Roman Reignses, the John Cena's, the Rocks, the Austins, Undertaker. They all knew how to work. Not saying these guys don't know how to work, but they don't do that style. And I feel like Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson said this in the presser. He said, watching that Tiger Driver 91 with Ospreay and Kenny just moved his head enough to not land on the top of his head. That was Brian Danielson saying he watched that and he cringed and he said, what value did that bring to the matchup besides, these are the things that are dangerous that somebody like a Tony Khan doesn't wrangle in his talent, doesn't have a producers telling people, no, like, let's not kill each other because you are, for lack of a better term, JC, in my opinion, they're a commodity. They're investments in these people that they need to realize, wow, if I'm hurt, I don't make money or I don't get to be on this pay-per-view because now Brian Danielson is out of All In and All Out, it looks like. And that is a huge blow when they were just getting all these people back from injury.
So one thing I do want to point out is when I go back to the list that you mentioned, did you notice a difference between those two lists that you made?
Well, yes.
Besides WWE, AEW, but it's also, there's your thing, as you should know this as a size shamer. The people who tend to take more risks are the smaller athletes because it's one of those, and overcompensating is not the right word, but you know what I mean, where it's like you see Daniel Bryan is undersized. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, they're the biggest guys in the world. I mentioned Mercedes Moné. She's not the biggest person in the world. Whereas you're mentioning like Austin and Rock and Hogan and Cena. These are like larger than life, like muscle, like, if you line them up in a ring across from people, they're believable. Whereas if you're lining up Brian Danielson across from one of these guys, it's maybe not believable. So I think that there's definitely an aspect to that where those that are smaller do have to take more chances and do have to maybe put themselves more at risk to make it. And that's, again, why I say it's part of who they are as a character and part of their DNA. Because if Brian Danielson never did those things, we probably wouldn't even know who he was because he wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So it's always that tough double-edged sword. But I do obviously agree with your point that we see it a lot more in WWE, them being like, hey, maybe don't do that move or cool it. Or, you know what, just save it for the pay-per-view. Whereas AEW, it's like a fucking Wednesday night and there's 30 people in the ring. It's like,
so my other caveat to that is Rey Mysterio worked really hard in really ridiculous style, and then he got to the WWE and he toned it down because he realized, oh shit, I need to sell masks. You know what I mean?
He also became a guy. I think once you get to that point where you become a guy, it makes it easier too.
Right, and I think that's a problem.
Look at a guy like AJ Styles. He's another guy that is really was used to be like this. Then he got the name value and the cachet, and he's a lot safer than he used to be.
I'm just thinking that, Kenny Omega doesn't need it, in my opinion. He's
but
Kenny Omega without it. And I think
you tried telling him it's not.
No, I know. But I mean, Will Ospreay's on the up. So, I mean, obviously I understand where you're coming from. But when I look at Bryan and I look at Okada, I think those guys are at that point where they don't need to do these things. They just do it. So I just think it's worse for the betterment of their longevity anyway. So this is what I want to talk about. Anything else specifically you want to talk about for Forbidden Door?
I thought the Fatal 4-Way with the OC match, the international title match, was really fun. And the other thing I just want to talk about quickly, you mentioned it, the whole Jungle Boy thing. That match, I don't give a fuck about the match, but I was kind of talking about this with our boy Dom because we obviously all kind of wanted this because the best way to describe Jungle Boy is a charisma vacuum who has a cool theme song. So it makes more sense to make that Movo a heel to make him more interesting. But one thing, and Dom said it, and I agree, is like it didn't feel like the spot for it because coming out of Forbidden Door, what are we talking about? We're obviously talking about Ospreay, Omega, and all these things. And this is, to me, the biggest difference between WWE and AEW. We tend to criticize WWE a lot more because, they don't do these moments on pay-per-view anymore. They save it for Monday. And it's like, well, that's because then on a Monday, like that becomes the headline and makes it a little more special. Whereas Jungle Boy finally making this turn, it felt like way too premature. I always joke all the time, Tony Khan, the king of the premature ejaculations, because he's just not patient. He just blows his load. It's like, oh, Chris Statlander back, give her the title. Oh, it's like an immediate leak, whatever. And that's what this kind of felt like, because it felt like there was more meat on the bone to drag this out and maybe give Jungle Boy a spot in the next couple weeks on a big TV to do this turn instead of in the middle of this Forbidden Fruit pay-per-view where the headlines are all going to be Ospreay Omega and Okada Danielson and those things, whereas Jungle Boy will just be a footnote at the bottom. So that's one of my bigger criticisms, and it's a more AEW thing as the whole because Tony tends to do this. But on the other side of the coin, I do understand. We mentioned it earlier. We pay for AEW pay-per-views to watch them. So you tend to want more big things happening if you feel like you get your money's worth, but I just didn't think it was the right spot for it because I kind of think they did him a disservice to a guy that, we're already very down on.
Well, I'm glad that they turned because I think that was one of my hopes is I wanted him to turn and then, be with Anna JAS and the whole thing. And then, Ty and Sammy could be a whole.
No, he needs to go back to Christian and Luchasaurus, baby.
I know, but the thing is, circle. I know, but it's so weird because someone said, "Oh, did you see his tights?" It was very similar to Luchasaurus's tights, but
yeah, keep him away from the JAS, man.
No. I just want him with Anna
pile of shit right now.
Because honestly, I think the good-looking kid, whatever. But it's funny to me, like, and this is where Dom probably will pound his fist and probably want to punch me. But Sonata to me is like you put the IWGP Championship in the middle of the card, and it's like. There are 2 matches without belts. Well,
hey, the AEW one kicked off the show.
No, I know.
That was a pretty good match. Even
it was a good match, and then he wanted to peace out. But like, it would have helped Sonata to be probably up on the higher part of the card. But Sonata's a nobody to us, and Jack Perry's a nobody to the Japanese fans. So I don't really know. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me. I remember was that Jungle Boy used to be Dink the Clown. Oh man, I was just say all Sonata is doing is protecting the title. Look, I can see the value of him because when I looked at him, I went on a the airport test as they call it. Like he looks like a somebody, but he hasn't impressed me to the point where I can be like, hey, let's deal with this because I felt like it literally didn't do anything for anybody from the clips that I've seen. It seems like Jack Perry is screwed one way or the other. Right now, but at least if he goes back with Christian and the dinosaur, he'll have something. But
Christian, the TNT champion,
it's so hard because I think like they did a good job on Collision. They've done 2 good weeks of Collision, at least in my opinion.
I was going to say I was starting my shine this week with Collision.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think it's a nice breath of fresh air. In terms of AEW programming, when I've had such fatigue and I'm so sick of just the usual dynamite bullshit we get every week, these first 2 weeks of Collision have been refreshing and it feels like a completely different product and company. And like I said to you guys, like in the thread privately, it's just like, obviously there's a lot of JC guys in the show, which definitely helps, but I just think the overall show just feels different. It feels fresher. It's just like it's just a different vibe. And I think obviously Christian being a part of it, the segment this week was a fucking knockout. Having guys like Miro and Andrade come back, especially Andrade, 2 absolute fucking clinics in a row. Mm-hmm. And then you have like the FTR and Punk kind of being the faces as opposed to fucking the Elite, which just like, ugh. I'm so sick of that shit. It feels better.
I just want to put a pin in the Forbidden Door thing with this one statement. I don't understand. Like, I get why we do it. but it doesn't feel special. Like this one was better than last year's, obviously, 100 times more because of the injuries. But when I watched this, I thought to myself, what's the point of this? There's like
It's
little
also
to no.
not really. It's not really for us.
No, and I understand
'Cause
that, but
you know what
I
I
look at
mean?
it from that perspective of like it's not for us, it's for the IWC that love this shit. But
Yeah.
and you can say there and say like, oh, this is the biggest gate ever, and congratulations. I hope this goes really well for you guys and all that stuff. But I kept thinking to myself is like, you're not growing the business for either company here. You're not. Like,
That's not what this pay-per-view is about, though.
no, it's
And
not.
that's
It's a
the thing.
jerk off
I like to
session,
shit
is
on
what it is.
Forbidden Door, but like it makes sense why they do it because this is really like the tribute to their ultimate fucking diehards.
Right, but at that point, like you're not growing the business. You're
It's
just
not
like,
always about growing though. Sometimes you just want to put in a good show for
I mean,
your
you're
biggest fans.
basically implying that this is AEW's one night stand. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like that's
I don't
exactly
think there's
what it
anything
is.
wrong with that because
No, but
it's not one of their big 4 pay-per-views. They have their big one coming up in a month or whatever it is. Like they have the big one overseas and they have the one back over here. Like those are the ones. And a lot of these matches kind of felt like almost setups for that pay-per-view. So I didn't because it's one of those. Look at this card is full of throwaway matches to me and you, but to the fucking like the diehards. I'm trying to be nice here. It's fucking this is porn for them. So let them have their porn, Adam. You don't have to like everything
fuck
they
is
do
that?
because I don't either. I got Osprey Omega. That was good enough for me.
all right. All right. Well, let's get into the regular part of the show. You already talked about Collision. It's always in the shine, apparently. But now what else is in the shine?
This week it was a weird week because we're obviously heading into Money in the Bank. I don't know if you noticed from Raw this week. Money in the Bank is this weekend.
Did you know it's going to start at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time? Did you know it's going to start at Eastern Standard Time at 3:00, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly I don't have a lot here in the shine, but my best thing from Raw, obviously, it's my feud, baby. The crowd still hates Dom. They were booing Rhea this week, which that was kind of a change up, which I kind of loved about it, is that Dom's obviously been getting the mega heat, and they usually put Rhea on it, calms the crowd down. The crowd was still hot going against her. Even she looked a little surprised. I was like, good. This is good. This is good. Just keep her away from Natalya because that'll make people cheer for her again. But obviously, you get the big pop for Cody to come out. These two guys in the ring, JC, I talked about other people that's porn for them. This is porn for me, baby. And we obviously had the matches later in the night. Dom really testing himself by squashing Tozawa, and Cody beat Priest and a banner in the main event. So that to me, I mean, look, it's a match. It's a few they've kind of fast tracked here for Money in the Bank. They decided to keep these guys out of the ladder match, so they put them 1-on-1 against each other. I'm enjoying it. I hope they tear the house down on Saturday. And to me, honestly, on watching Raw, this was the only stuff that kind of held my interest this week.
So I think Judgment Day in general is doing a really well, with the exception of Rhea. I feel like they're doing a really good job with everybody else. I like what Finn's doing. Like that Finn package with like watching you laughed at me. I didn't care that you hurt me, but you laughed at me. I was like, what a fucking like that's so minuscule, but it's such a great telling piece in the story. And just watching him do a Seth Rollins as he walked by when he injured him, just like all that stuff. And like, I really love what Finn Balor's doing. So I'm on that. And then of course you've talked about Dom. Priest did a really good job in the main event. So I don't want them to break up. I don't want whatever the hell that they're trying. I actually enjoy watching them do it. Like if they're going to run Monday Night Raw, let's stick together for the family, like for the kids, at least, like, come on. But I will say very much so. And I wanted to bring this up to you. Did you feel like Cody versus Priest was a decent main event in terms of like that could have been anywhere in the show, but it was at the end of the show, and it felt like to me it was like, it could have been at the beginning.
It's because Cody's the main event of Raw. Like he doesn't have the title, but he is like he's the main attraction on Raw. So when he wrestles, more often than not, they're gonna put in the main event, especially when it's against the guy that they're really trying to elevate. I think he's obviously a contender for the briefcase. And it feels like that. I mean, I just led the shine with it. Cody versus Dom. Like, it's not for a title. It's not for anything. It was literally, they put it together just to keep these guys away from the ladder match because they're both red hot for completely opposite reasons. So they just kind of like put them against each other just to keep them away from those briefcases. And it's just like, Cody's the attraction on Raw, man. He really is. Seth can have the title. Gunther's having an amazing reign. You got Sami and KO there, but it doesn't matter. Cody's still the guy with or without the title. So I think more often than not, if he's in a big match, it's the main event.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. Anything else you would have that's shine worthy?
On SmackDown, I liked LA Knight picking up the win over Rey Mysterio. It was nice to see him get a little momentum there. I know that kind of scares us as the people who probably want to see him get the briefcase, but Nestlemania. Mr. Prime Logan Paul's in that match. There's no fucking chance LA Knight's getting that briefcase, baby. That thing's going to be filled with Prime energy drink.
Oh, Jesus.
Leo's favorite, as we heard. But I love seeing LA Knight get the big win here. Obviously, I think this is, I don't think this is that outlandish to say. This is probably the biggest singles win of LA Knight's career, beating a legend Hall of Famer like Rey Mysterio. I don't know if he's really racked up a win like that. So I thought that was good because it at least told me, like, even if he doesn't win on Saturday, it does seem like they're finally being like, okay, yeah, we're going to acknowledge what you guys see in him, and we're going to actually showcase him.
But there is a smaller window with him because of his age. It feels like they should be able to do something with him. And to me, there's two people that are going to win.
With a lot of people, baby.
There's two people here that need to win this Money in the Bank. At least I think that are front runners for the men anyway. And I mean, LA Knight's one of them. So I'm going to be sitting there. I won't be able to watch Money in the Bank live because it's overseas. So that sucks. But in my head, I'll be thinking to myself, come on, LA Knight, win, because I do want him to win. I really do, because I feel like he's the one, but who knows? Age shamer, Danny? Seriously? How am I an age shamer? How am I an age shamer?
You just described LA Knight by his age instead of recognizing him as the megastar.
He talked about his age, for crying out loud. He said that shit. So I'm just saying, people looking at him saying he's 40. So,
man.
I'm just saying.
You got any shine this week?
Yeah. Well, I talked about Finn Balor. I'm excited that I was excited for this. I thought this was a good segment for me, which was, I really enjoyed the bloodline thread throughout the night. I liked the telling of the story, the Usos with the promo at the beginning. I thought that was great. Like, Roman, we loved you, but you fucked up. I love that part of it. I thought that was like, we are the best tag team in the world. We're not going up against a singles Roman Reigns. We're going against a tag of, we got this. And I'm going to say it right now. Like, this is going to be the main event, obviously, because it's Roman Reigns, but I'll be curious to see.
I'm not so sure.
Well, what do you think is going to be the ending?
The last couple of years, they put one of the ladder matches last. So I think that they could do that, but I think it would be interesting if this was last, because even though Roman's not defending his 3 titles, someone could cash in on it.
Exactly. That would be my thought.
But if they do that, that means they're going to lose the briefcase in one night, because Roman ain't fucking losing his 3 titles. Of
course not. So that's to me is like the waste of it.
Yeah, right? It's weird because, like, I agree, like, Roman, when he's the main event, but this, like, for a feud that I've been waiting for and I've wanted to see because I love the Usos, it feels kind of not like lost on this card, but it doesn't feel like as special as it should be. You know what I mean?
I think you're going to forget about that the moment you're watching it, though.
Probably. That's how I am with all Roman Reigns things. And that's the beauty of Roman Reigns. But I'm curious to see how they do it, because obviously this probably isn't the end. So we could have a little bit of dust here, maybe, if they make this a multi-parter here. But I don't know. It's definitely interesting to see how they're going to shape out this card.
All right. And again, Solo versus Sheamus in the main event. So I was like a boned up little man, like being like, this is great. Enjoying them just killing each other. It was wonderful. But yeah, I really love that stuff. Also, I'm curious your thoughts on, to me, I was excited that we now have one set of women's tag titles, but
I actually thought this match was pretty good too.
Yeah.
They gave him 3 segments, I think.
3 segments.
That was nice to see. I think that was because we obviously knew Ronda and Shayna were probably going to win, but I think it was like, you kind of got to give Dawn and Fire a chance to show that they're really fucking good to the people that don't know them as much and maybe don't realize why they deserve to be here. My only concern is with this now is they obviously beat Casey and Caden already, but that's Katana and Caden. I'm using
you did it. There you go.
No, because you always go Katana and Chance or Caden and Carter, where you call them by one name.
Chance and Carter. I got it now.
Yeah, I know. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Guthrie. I will give Guthrie all the credit in the world for that one.
Oh boy. And then they've now beat our Fire Bitches, and they're facing the other tag team at the pay-per-view, which we'll get into later in predictions. So my only concern is they're kind of fast tracking through this, but I do think there's enough meat on the bone here to kind of I thought, again, it was much like the Katana and Caden match, where I thought Alba and Isla came in out, even though they lost their titles. I thought they looked good because it was a good showcase for them in their first lawn match against 2 legit stars. So I think that was nice to see.
I'm definitely enjoying the fire bitches as we talked about, but it's hard for me to think about like where do we go from here, because if it's once we assume Raquel and Liv aren't winning, then it's like, oh, we're back to oh god, like what are we doing? So I am nervous in that aspect of it because I don't know what else we can do, because it isn't really deep, and I don't know what else they can do with it.
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can run back with either of these two NXT tag teams. Though at some point, I just think you need something in between, and I don't think the feud with Raquel and Liv is going to probably end at Money in the Bank either. I just thought it was interesting because I thought Money in the Bank might be a nice spot to actually have Alba and Isla fight Ronda and Shayna, whether it was on the SmackDown before or whatever. So it kind of surprised me that they booked the new women's tag match for the actual pay-per-view when they had a chance to have some hometown girls against a tag team you're trying to push as big bad heels. But I mean, obviously star power sells, and Liv and Raquel are two big stars, especially Liv. So I understand it, but I did think that was interesting that it wasn't at least on the SmackDown before.
Danny, this is one of my hopes. Any chance the fire bitches hook up with Bray? I said a couple weeks ago that if they had some voodoo magic where they brought back the Fiend, that's what I would love to see. I think that would be wonderful.
Don't like it. I don't want that. I don't want the Bray stink on them. Not yet.
Not stink. He's not stink.
No, it's not like a negative stink. It's just like
it is. If you say somebody stinks, it's a negative.
Yeah, but it's a stink. It's a stink. It's not good either. It's like when you get involved with Bray, you come out differently, and it's not always good. And I think they're just so new. I don't want that yet because he's a whole different animal.
Whatever. Anything else you got in the shine?
No.
Okay, then let's go to the heat. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. I've got plenty to talk about here. I'll just go very quickly. First thing on my list is something that is very uber specific, and I just thought was like, whatever. The women's Money in the Bank people were in there talking and talking and talking and talking. And Trish did most of the talking, which again, it's a thing. Becky Lynch just pops them. They all start doing whatever. I'm not necessarily in love with that segment, but what hurt me more and pissed me off more than anything else in this entire world was the backstage segment with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. And she said, I don't need the title needs me. And I was just like, and what have you been doing? You've been a main event side piece. And it's like, I know that the babyface is always supposed to say these things, but I didn't like that at all because it made me feel like you don't give a shit. Like it made it feel like it just made everything feel like let's shit on Rhea when she's been dominant. Like it took away from Rhea and it made Becky look like kind of bitter in a way. Like I'm the tough woman.
That's kind of Becky's thing though. That's kind of why a lot of the times, like I'm obviously a fan of Becky, but I'm not as like diehard as most people because she kind of comes off like a stuck up bitch a lot of the time. And it's just like, as a baby face, it's just like, some people find it very cool. I don't find it cool. I find it a little off putting, but it's just like, that's just her bravado of the man.
I don't know. It just seems like we're trying to build Rhea Ripley, and it's just like I do not want Becky Lynch winning that fucking thing. Like if she cashes in, it's just like, oh god. Like to me, I want other people in that matchup to win. And again, obviously it's not a closet thing for me. Like I'm not a huge fan of Becky Lynch. I can see why she's important. I can see why she's a draw.
You're just mad because she wears the orange better than you do.
Nope. I can tell you,
solved it.
You know what it is? You know what it is that even when I'm 100 years old, I'll still be able to throw a better leg drop than she will. That's what it comes down to, because she looks like she's gently sitting down on the can when she drops that fucking thing. So, that's it. But I think it did a disservice to both people, and it made her just look like a bitch. It made everybody look terrible.
I think you buried that in-ring segment because that summit was fucking dog shit. That was my biggest heat of the week. That thing was like, and look, you know me, I love Bayley, but she was fucking terrible. It just everyone looked fucking like shit in that segment. And I feel like they do these every year, and they just like, even when they do them with the men, they come off kind of lame. But at least like if the Miz is in that segment, he can make it interesting. But there was no one in the segment who could make it interesting, even with Trish trying her best shit. And every time Zoe Stark opens her mouth, it's just like, I just want to put my hand up, because when my hand goes up, her mouth better go fucking shut. Good fucking Lord. Thank God I'm back this week, so everyone doesn't have to listen to 20 minutes of a Zoe Stark suckfest from Guthrie. Good God. If she wins on Saturday, oh, Nelly, she better hand that thing to Trish. And Trish better be the champion like Christian is there. She can be Luchasaurus to Christian. Stand in the back, put on a mask, and shut the flip up.
Wow. Somewhere Guthrie's going to be very angry at you.
He went after the Golden Domer last week. you know.
He hasn't been golden domed in a long time, probably more than
You
10
don't know
years.
that. You don't know that.
Anyway,
You don't
yeah,
know what he does in his spare time.
I just think that this match is so like just discombobulated in every way, and it's just like I know it'll be good when we get there. I'm hoping everybody stays there, but what does it say? Death, taxes, and Nestle shitting on Becky Lynch.
He's right. It's
So
because she wears the orange better than he does.
that has nothing to do with it because
Mm,
here's the thing.
mm,
Here's the thing. I can see the value of Becky Lynch. I do. She's not for me. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
it's
And
okay, you're a hater.
she sometimes says things to me that I feel like she's a detriment for the rest of the women that are trying to make some moves. That's all. She's just a detriment to the whole division sometimes when she opens her mouth. That's all I'm saying. That's all
She's
I'm
also
saying.
a big plus for the rest of the division with everything else she does. So it's a
I
double-edged
agree.
sword.
I agree. But you live by the
So
sword, you die
Nessa,
by the sword.
you're kind of describing her as the female Rock, who I know is your favorite of all time. So
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Because let's go down that fucking rabbit hole. No thanks. No fucking thanks. The most electrifying man in the world. Go fuck him. Yeah, never mind. I'm not even gonna touch that one with a 10-foot
you're
pole.
a rock shamer.
I'm a rock shamer. I'm a pebble shamer too, I guess. Moving on, something else that I thought was kind of head scratchy was again with the women we have on SmackDown. Charlotte beats Lacey Evans in a jobber alert. Whatever. Like it's just, and then Asuka sneak attacks. It's a whole fucking thing. I don't know. It just the whole thing just seems like what are we doing with this entire moment of that? Like I don't really like it. I don't know how you feel about it. It just seems like here we are again.
Yeah, this segment again, it didn't do any favors really for anyone. The most intriguing part is Bianca, and she's not even involved in the match or whatever. And just I don't know. This feels like a very much a wait and see thing because like I'm curious to see how they do this, but I think you guys kind of talked about it last week with Asuka. She's just kind of the forgotten person because when Charlotte's on screen, all you see is Charlotte, and when Bianca's on screen, all you see is Bianca, and then there's just Asuka who cheated to win the title anyway. So I don't know. It's a tough thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a triple threat at SummerSlam because I think that's an easy way for Asuka to cheat her way and retain the title and hold this a little more to kind of try to kick the Charlotte Bianca thing all the way to Mania somehow. But yeah, no, the segments week to week have not been good for this feud.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else specifically. I'll just go down the list here, and I don't really know if there's anything else that we really want to talk about. I almost labeled this episode "Cat in the Hat" because I forgot about the Cody Rhodes saying the "Cat in the Hat" thing, but that was beside the point. Oh, this is something that is going to get me complete heat, regardless. We didn't talk about Seth Rollins and Mello and Finn Balor having a matchup there. I will say this much: I'm a Mello guy through and through. I love him. He's my boy. But like when I watched that, it felt like almost unauthentic from everybody involved. And then when we did the promo, I was super surprised. It looked like he had stumbled over his words.
He
didn't
felt
look like
jitters.
he was, you know what I mean? I don't know if it was the jitters or if it was remembering what the script said. It was, I don't know what it was, but
it was with Kathy Kelly, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, we'd all have the jitters too. So
you should see me if I tried to talk around Kathy Kelly. I'd have cotton mouth too.
So the other thing too is, and this is something that somebody can debate me on all the time, and JC is going to be shocked when I say this, but I actually watched his entrance, and it sounded like to me like they were piped in.
So that the crowd all night, it was hard to tell because I saw someone say that, but it was kind of consistent all night where I couldn't tell if the crowd was really good or maybe if there was a little extra.
I think they piped it.
Also, the acoustics in that arena did sound interesting. We have to ask our boy Ray for actual confirmation, but
well, that's hard for Ray to even confirm because how is he going to know if it's all just one?
Yeah, well, he's in the arena. He can tell because I mean, honestly, like especially that opening segment, like it sounded like Cody got a WrestleMania pop. So it just I don't know if it was just the way the acoustics were set up or the way they were set up their mics where it just caught stuff differently. But it was definitely a theme all night where there were moments where I was like, huh. It does sound a little louder than a normal TV crowd. So
yeah, I felt so bad for him because the match was good. We knew he was going to lose.
It was fine. It just I kind of agree. Just like it's one of those where it's like it's supposed to be a big deal, but it doesn't feel like a big deal. If they wanted to make it feel like a big deal, they could have put it in the main event. But we're obviously leading into a pay-per-view, so it's tougher to do that. But I don't know. I think this was probably a weird spot to do this.
I agree. And Danny's saying some awful things about you.
I don't know if it'd be green, but yeah, no, there might be some mist.
If he has Tabasco sauce, it might be red. Who knows? It's a whole thing. hot, super hot
Yeah.
fire. No, but like again, he'll wrestle tonight and everybody will forget and it's NXT. He'll be more comfortable there. But
Baron Corbin, baby.
he
That's the
looked
match
like
I want to see.
he looked like a complete fish out of water, and I was so surprised.
Yeah.
And then somebody, and again, I'm not putting this out. Danny's gonna blame me anyway. But somebody put out on Twitter saying you can't be him when you're 5'8". I was like, oof.
No, that was definitely a burner of yours. You're just such a hater. Luckily for him, he was fighting someone who was 5'7". So
Yeah, so it all worked out. But
yeah,
I don't know.
son of
It's just
shamer.
I'm not saying that. I love the
You brought it
man.
up. You brought it up. You could have left it there. Could have left it there. Look, it's one of those things. It's the reason why Mello works is because of his bravado, and the way they did that segment. It's just like he didn't have any bravado because it's like Seth's talking for him and this and that. So it's just like that. That you need the ambiance for Mello. That's what makes Mello Mello. That's
No
why we love
trick.
Mello.
No trick.
Yeah, and they should have had exactly because Trick adds to it too. It's just like
Yeah, it's a
anytime it just
presentation.
exactly. And so it
It's
just
a package.
we talk
deal.
about this with NXT people all the time when they come up, they lose things in their presentation. And even though this was just like a short-term one-off because he's feuding with Corbin, whew.
Mello versus Jungle Boy at Forbidden Dwarf.
Oh man.
I don't even think you're allowed to say dwarf anymore, Danny. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't say it, but that whatever, it's fine. Moving on, let me see. We had talked about Tozawa and the Dom match, which was a jobber alert. The Vikings are going to kill Alpha Academy, and then of course,
Hey
Alpha
now, no. Maxine and company are gonna kick the shit out of those Viking bitches.
I hope so. I don't know if it's Maxine's debut or if it's a 6-person tag. We'll see what they have cooked up there. But then again, they could just fucking erase it from our memories because they don't want us to know, and they'll have something else.
7. Do it.
Yeah, right. Good God. And I think that's pretty much everything here that I have that was very, very terrible, with the exception of course, Natty and her promo. But that I don't even want to bring that up. So is it time to get hopeful?
Glorious.
You're my only hope.
Go?
I can go.
I have one.
I have one as well.
You want me to go or do you want to go?
I can go.
Okay, go.
So I was thinking about this very carefully the other day, and the bloodline they're not gonna stop anytime soon. We can call them, this isn't the bloodline anymore. It's a civil war, whatever. But I thought about this very carefully, and I thought they're gonna drag this shit out as much as humanly possible. What if Survivor Series we get X bloodline versus a new bloodline in War Games? I think that'd be pretty interesting. Like Sammy KO, Usos as one team. Then you get fucking Roman Reigns solo. You could get, I think that even the younger Uso is coming up, and you could get like a Jacob Fatu, or you could get someone to plug in there, and you could have a new bloodline that they replaced. And I think that'd be very interesting because, again, I feel like in order to keep Roman Reigns going, they're going to continue to not have him defend the championship very much. So this seems like a perfect opportunity here to get like a Marvel versus Marvel kind of thing going here. And I thought about that an awful lot because then you can have Jay be the guy. You can have Jay be, the leader or the tribal chief of the new tribe anyway. They could call themselves whatever they want. So I just think it'd be very interesting to see where that goes because I don't think we're done yet with this bloodline saga for a very, very long time. But to have Jay be the one and Roman be the run and then have War Games, I think that'd be a very interesting dichotomy considering what happened last year at War Games. So there you go. There's my hope. Not a big fan, apparently.
Don't love it. Don't love it. You have to sell me better on bloodline stuff right now because, I mean, I don't know where we go from here to make it interesting. Because I'm not buying Jay as a singles guy. I'm sorry. I love Jay. Main event Jay Uso, but not against Roman Reigns. Not tri-title. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. The tri-title Roman Reigns. Because he has all three, baby. All colors of the rainbow, just like Skittles. My hope, we're going back over to AEW, but it's not really someone who's from AEW. We're talking about someone who wrestles in AEW sometimes, coming to WWE, baby. Because I was thinking about this, and I was, I was talking about Boy Dom earlier, and this kind of dawned on me as we were talking. I was like, you know what? Roman Reigns obviously ain't going to be around forever. So Paul Heyman's going to kind of, need someone new to cling on to. And I was like, you know what? I kind of, even though I'm not the biggest Callis guy, him just being around Ospreay, I was like, it kind of works. Ospreay isn't a guy who really needs a manager because I think his charisma just keeps growing and growing. But I think when you're like a mega heel, like he is, and kind of how it works for Roman too, it kind of works. And I was like, God damn it, man. Will Ospreay could be the next Paul Heyman guy. Not this year. Maybe probably not even next year because we know he doesn't really want to live in America right now, but I think eventually, like, all roads will lead here for him, because I think he's a guy that he's obviously still young enough that at some point he is going to want to take that challenge. I think he will come here. And I'm like, man, one way to present him right away. I think right away you could present him and he'd be a top star. But one way you could present him right away and make him one of the guys, and once he gets in the ring, he'll prove it, is to have him come in as the next Paul Heyman guy. And I was like, man, I can picture it. Because just seeing those little glimpses of Callus, I was like, it works just enough. It doesn't have to be overbearing like Paul was with Lesnar or whatever. It's more of like where Roman Reigns, where it's just a side piece to an already incredible thing that can stand on its own, but it's just an added dimension. And we've seen Ospreay has done well at these press conferences. You can have him do press conferences with him and Heyman and stuff, that I think it would work. So that's my hope this week, man, is that when Will Ospreay, not if, when he comes to WWE in the next few years, I want him to be the next Paul Heyman guy. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. Hashtag JC is awesome.
You know, I don't think you even know about this, but way back in the day, before Will Ospreay blew up, Paul Heyman interrupted his interview with somebody and gave him a contract. He says, whenever you want to come to the States, here's Evolve, which doesn't exist anymore. So they do have that back and forth. So that's not bad. It is. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty interesting. All right, time for our comebacks. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to do it?
Yeah, because my girl is back. Liv Morgan, this was a surprise. I mean, obviously, we knew something was weird when Raquel's just chilling ringside for a tag match when she's had about 16 tag partners since Liv got injured. And after the match, Ronda's like, what you doing out here, bitch? What you doing? I got gumption. You got gumption? What you doing? What you doing? But out came Liv Morgan to save the day and the segment. Love Liv. I'm glad she's back, because I thought she was going to be out longer. She wasn't, so getting her back on our TV, back in the ring, back on pay-per-view, back doing what she does best. We'll all be watching. Liv Morgan, you get my comeback.
I knew when she came out in those jeans, she was getting your comeback. So there you go.
I think everyone wants to give her
every time I see her do this, I just think of you. I don't know why. It's just like,
she's so adorable in the sexiest way. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, how can you be adorable and sexy? I don't know.
She does.
It's an odd thing for you to say. I just don't understand it, but whatever.
I mean,
anywho,
you say odd things all day, so every now and then I got to control.
Yeah, but people expect me to be odd. You, not so much. You're supposed to be a man of the people. Me, I'm one of one. That's it.
I think liking Liv Morgan makes me a man of the people.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I'm saying you should not be weird like me, apparently. Anyway, my comeback goes to
Adam.
Who the fuck is Adam? Bertsky?
You, and I'm not going to let you make a comeback.
Is it Bertsky? We're going to.
There is an Adam Bertsky. There's also an Adam Nestlemania, and there's also an Adam Cole, baby.
Respectfully, simping is what it's called. So he's a simp. He's simping.
Bert is a big simp guy.
Yeah, well, he should. You know what's funny? Never mind. I just got a great Photoshop idea of like you and Bertsky, like in The Sims, but like, you know, like the Simps. It'd be great. It'd be fucking great.
You're like a 90-year-old man. You're older
You've
than
never
Doc.
played The Sims? You never played The Sims?
I played The Sims, but your jokes are just so.
I'm a dad now. I have low standards. It's fine.
So 2000 and late, man.
Jesus, nice rap reference. Anyway, my comeback this week goes to. I'm not stupid. My comeback goes to The Miz, because I was super excited to see him attack Ciampa, and I thought, this motherfucker keeps losing all year long. Finally gets his shit back for like, Jesus Christ, how many months was he just getting pounded on? And
the entire year.
He just he switched it on. He showed us again why. Edge said it in an interview last week, by the way. He said The Miz is the most versatile person he's ever worked with his entire life. And there's nobody better than The Miz when it comes to from being the top of the card, the bottom of the card. So when The Miz did all that stuff, all I could think about was, Jesus Christ. He just erased all of the banana peel slipping he had done for the last, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months.
He got his giant balls back.
It was amazing that in 6 months of losing, here he is being like, oh, a viable character. Great job, Mike. So I just thought that was a wonderful thing for Mike to do. Not that I know him personally, but I'm a big fan of The Miz.
Who are you?
I'm putting it out in the universe that you and I will be friends with Mike and Ryan Cabrera someday. That's all.
That'd be pretty cool.
I just want to be friends with both of them. I think us as the golf foursome would be fantastic.
Speaking of simps.
Yep. I would definitely be a Miz and a Ryan Cabrera simp. That's for sure. I just want to meet Alexa Bliss someday to be like, do you know how lucky you are to be married to Ryan Cabrera? And see what her reaction would be. Because most people would come up there and be like, "Oh my God, Alexa Bliss." I'd be like, "Oh my God, Ryan Cabrera." So it is what it is. Like I said, I'm an odd duck. What can I
It's
say?
fair. It's fair.
It's an odd duck. And anyway, we're gonna go to the big old finish.
Big old finish. We're going to start with a special edition of Overseas SmackDown. Leading into Money in the Bank, it is a loaded card. The Tribal Cup will return. That's a thing. We also have the man we now found out has a broken leg, which is why he hasn't made his debut yet in the ring. The Grayson Waller effect is getting a little impulsive with Logan Paul. Nestlemania. I'm pretty excited for that dynamic.
I think that I haven't been impressed with the Grayson Waller effect since he's been on the main roster. It's been like he's been neutered, so it's odd to me
because he has a broken leg. You try not being neutered with a broken.
So my other thing here
is they didn't neuter his main leg, but they neutered one of the other ones,
not his third leg. Yeah. So my question to you is, what? Nobody gives a shit about the fucking brand split. I can talk. Because all I thought about was he's on fucking Raw. He's on SmackDown. That doesn't make any sense. Ronda and Shayna are the fucking tag champs. I get that, but fucking Raquel and Liv should be on Raw. Like it's just
that leads us into our next match, Nestlemania, because the tag titles are on the line as Raw superstars. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defend against Yes Boy Pretty Deadly. Home game for Pretty Deadly, Nestle.
I want to pull for Pretty Deadly. I just don't see it happening on a SmackDown. So honestly, it's KO and Sam all the way. But it's going to be a fun match because I feel like here's
the matter with you.
What do you mean,
Mike? Sam? What are you doing?
His real name's Ramy. If you would,
yeah. Then why you call him Sam?
I just like Sam. You know, it's funny. Randy Orton called Daniel Bryan Dan. I just thought that was like the funniest thing to me. Like
Miro like Dan is Robert Roode Bob. That was an insult.
Yeah, it was great.
Bob Roode.
Bob Roode.
The most over he's ever been.
Yeah, of course. Besides just fucking music, Dom. Of course, yeah. But no, I'm interested in none of that except for the fact that Pretty Deadly should be tag team champions, but this is the last of it all. Like I just want to see those titles split again.
Well, Nestlemania, I know what you are interested in is Asuka versus Charlotte, part 50 for the women's title, where there will likely be some Bianca schmoz.
Can't wait for this to be over.
Well, guess what? It won't be over, but it'll happen. This particular part 1 will be over, but should we get into Money in the Bank?
Please, let's get excited. Let's cash in on some excitement.
Matches had Money in the Bank. This one was just added on Monday Night Raw on Monday. It is a singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, where the Ring General Gunther defends against Matt Riddle. Home game for Gunther. This should be a banner for sure because both these guys hit hard, but Gunther's gonna win.
Gunther has to win here, but imagine the fucking reaction if Riddle wins. He'd get booed out of the fucking building. He'd get booed. He'd have to get booed.
But I do have a follow-up question to this match.
Yes.
Is Randy Orton returning? Because there is a rumor that he might be cleared.
If Randy Orton helps helps Riddle beat Gunther, does that make it okay?
No. I think he'd cost Riddle. He'd come out and you'd think he'd be evening the odds against Imperium. But then what does Randy Orton do better than anyone, Nestlemania?
The snake.
RKO out of nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So RKO is both Imperium dudes and then comes into the ring, gets a hug, and then RKO is Riddle, and that's it?
And boom, and then Gunther's all over his face.
I'm glad we booked it. There you go, guys.
Sets up Riddle Orton at SummerSlam.
Who the fuck is this guy?
I don't know. But next up, we have a tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, the champions, defend against the returning Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the former champs. I'm taking the MMA girls because it just feels like that'll happen.
Yep. Did you see that hilarious sign on? It was like during a house show. It says Ronda Lousy. When I saw that, I went, "Why have we not done that earlier?" But whatever.
That's pretty good. It's literally just replacing one letter. It's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm just going in order of what Wikipedia here has. It is the Bloodline Civil War Tag Team match. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa with Paul Heyman take on the Usos, who are Jimmy and Jay and Nestlemania. As much as I would like to take the Usos, I just feel like this is only match number 1, so I smell some schmaz. Solo Sikoa was the reason for the schmaz last year overseas in this helping out Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre, but I do think Roman and Solo, by hook and by crook, win this one.
You ready for this?
Nope.
Okay. So you're sitting down?
No.
Okay. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso win this matchup, and Jey Uso pins Roman Reigns.
No shot.
Main event. Mark
No
it down.
shot. No shot. That.
Yep.
No.
It's a tag match.
If they win, they're pinning Solo. They're pinning the baby brother.
Imagine what happens if he beats Roman Reigns. Imagine. They were talking about he was going to be, groomed to be the tribal chief. Imagine if he pins the tribal chief. Come on. It's a tag match. They can still use it. It'll make sense.
You're doing a Tony Khan right now. Too much too soon, Nestlemania. We're only in the fourth inning. If I'm going by Roman Reigns' calculations, we're only in the fourth inning, Nestlemania, and they play 9 without extra innings. So
okay,
I need you to, kind of hold in your nut.
You just give me 1 second there, Mr. Blue Cum or Green Cum or whatever.
I need you to hold it in. I'm trying to do some exercises here for you to help you last longer.
Oh, Kegel? Yeah. So besides that, here's my question to you. You were saying you got to make the bloodline interesting. You got to make me want to watch it. And then I gave you something that was actually very compelling.
Yeah, you gave me the moment that I'm waiting for. So now there's really no reason to watch it because someone finally pinned Roman Reigns.
So that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
he didn't win the championship.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you are the worst.
They don't need it on a card where they have 2 fucking ladder matches. They don't need to be blowing their loads. They're not Tony Khan.
All right, fine.
Next up, we have a singles match for the Cody Consolation Prize Championship. Seth freaking Rollins defends against Finn Balor. And Nestlemania, I would love to come on this program and pick Finn Balor. And pick Finn Balor because he gets help from his boy, JD McDonough. Fuck, that's actually pretty good. Nestlemania,
you're going to pick him?
The Prince, once again, becomes the king, thanks to JD McDonough. And this causes even more dissension with Damian Priest because JD's the guy that helped him, not Priesty Weasty, Lemon Sweesty. And Finn Balor wins the Cody Consolation Prize Championship in an upset of all upsets on his home turf, baby.
Do you think that he gets cashed in on? Like right away.
I mean, we could do that, have him win, and Priest immediately cashes in on him or some shit. We could have that Cody Consolation Prize is going to be like the TNT title, baby. We're going to have champions every 5 minutes.
Hot potato.
That's actually pretty good. I kind of want that to happen now.
Yeah, it's not going to fucking happen, but what a hot potato that would be.
It's more likely. The more likely scenario is Seth Rollins retains and Logan Paul immediately cashes in on him. And the crowd just fucking goes nuclear with Logan Paul holding up the Cody Consolation Prize.
Oh my God. If that would be amazing.
Oh, I can see
it. If Logan Paul wins, holy shit balls.
If he does win, spoiler, I'm going to pick him. I would like to see him hold it for a little while because I'd like to see him carry it around
because he's a walking advertisement.
Yeah, and it's the Money in the Bank briefcase is always better when you milk it just a little bit.
All right, moving on.
So that leads us to the last.
I picked Seth Rollins, by the way, in case I didn't get to say it, but
you didn't. But I figured you would because you're a coward. Next up, we have a singles match between Cody Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio with Rhea Ripley. I mean, Cody doesn't lose unless if it's like a big deal, so I'm picking Cody. But I would fucking love it if Dom won this somehow.
I mean, there is the Brock Lesnar factor. And by the way, Danny, I'd like to point out that the UK is not Finn's home turf. So it's
a lot closer to his home turf than he normally is. I think there'll be plenty of Finn.
That's
Balor
like saying Texas is close to Massachusetts.
You're telling me that it isn't going to feel like a home game for Becky Lynch either? Come on.
Danny, get him. He's a shamer. Come on, Danny, I'm waiting.
Literally very close to something. There are going to be a lot of his fans there that normally aren't.
I'm just waiting for Danny to be equal opportunity shamer here. I'm just saying. I'm waiting for Danny to put it in the comments. Come on, Danny.
Becky Lynch is going to get no reaction over there either. Yeah, because it's not her home turf either.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
you're just trying to ricochet problems off of you because you are the ultimate shamer.
All right, should we get to the Money in the Bank stuff? Let's go.
No, you didn't pick this match yet.
Cody Rhodes has to win. There's no way you can take away this momentum at this point.
Well, the fact that you just predicted it means that it'd be very easy to. Next up, we have a Money in the Bank ladder match for a women's championship match contract. That is Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, Trish Stratus, Nestlemania. I'll let you go first on this one. Who you got?
It better be Io Sky. Anybody else, I'll put my fist through the wall. Actually, Zoe Stark is number 2, but I would say it has to be Io Sky. This woman has babyface champion written on. Guthrie said it last week. She could slide in. Rhea could slide in. Io could slide in. Anybody can slide in to be a great babyface here, but I want Io. to win this fucking thing real badly.
I would really like Io to win it too. I think she makes the most sense. But man, I could see the swerve. I get some Road Scholar vibes like this, where we all wanted Cody, and then his moment, and then out comes Sandow to steal or something like that. I don't know. I have a weird vibe with Bailey here, that there could be some snakeage going on, but it might just be they cancel each other out and allow Becky or Trish to grab this, or Zoe to grab it and hand it to Trish. So this match, besides Zelina Vega, I think you could actually make a case for anyone in this match realistically. But man, in terms of a pick, I'm going to go with Trish Stratus. I don't love it.
Wow.
I don't want it to happen. Io would be my number one as well. But man, I don't know. It feels like somehow that it's she's going to be climbing on top of Zoe to grab that briefcase.
You'd think it's going to be Becky, Trish, or Zoe, based on the three being in a thing, and then there's Io and Bailey.
Well, it's just all those ones they could cancel each other out too. That's what makes it tough, because you could easily have it be like, I mean, you could make an argument like, oh, Becky, Trish, or like Lita could return, and even the odds there, and those three go bye-bye, and then it leaves like Bailey and Io as coming down to it. Or it could be like Dakota comes back and throws a thing into their thing, and they disappear. Comes the other three. So I think there's a good argument for all of them. I'm just going to go with Trish because I have that feeling, man. You got to go with your plums sometimes.
You have plums?
You got to go with your plums. Speaking of plums, main event, there's an extra, you know what? It's embarrassing that there's one extra man in the match, in the women's match. Unacceptable. But we have Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura. I forgot he was in this match. LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch. I forgot he was in this match too. Damian Priest and Logan Paul. I already told you, Logan Paul's winning this thing. That's my stamp of the card. No doubt about it. I would love to see LA Knight win it, but I just have a feeling, man. I've been saying it for a while now. Logan Paul with that briefcase makes a lot of sense to me.
I think that you're right with Logan Paul. My heart, I'm going to go with my plums and pick LA Knight, but I just...
It's not plums. Plums isn't your heart. Plums is like your balls. Like you have the feeling in your balls, the trust.
I said I'm going with my plums.
Heart. Your plums.
I said I was working with my plums here. You're not listening very well.
No, you said you're going to pick with your heart, and then you picked LA Knight. That's your heart, not your plums.
My heart and my plums both say LA Knight. Yeah. See, look, I just looked. He said, yeah. It's fine.
You can see them? I'm surprised.
Well, you know, I have a magnifying glass underneath the table here, so it's fine.
You're going to get you that Miss shirt. I have giant balls. Hello, my name is Giant Balls, or whatever it said. I was dying. I couldn't stop laughing at that last night.
I'll just get a monocle like the Monopoly guy so I can look down at it. It'll be great. You must be the Monopoly guy. That's for Ray.
With your detective gimmick.
It would. It very much would. So are you excited for Money in the Bank? Are you going to be watching at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday?
I'm going to be in Maine, buddy. I ain't going to be watching live. I'll watch it Monday when I get home so I can be ready for Tuesday. But yeah, no, I mean, if I see a ladder matches, then I'll try to stream it if I'm around.
You're not going to even have a connection in Maine, probably. So
I can get on the internet. It depends. If it's a little windy, it gets a little more challenging. But yeah, no, I won't be likely watching it live. I will definitely see the spoilers though, and I'm always excited for Money in the Bank, man. You know me. I love my ladders. Give me all the ladders. I get 2 of them, baby.
Listen. I'll say this much. I don't know how many people are going to enjoy this, but I feel like the London crowd will actually make this probably one of the best pay-per-views of the year. Now, the wrestling might not be great.
Last year. But that's why I kind of we talked about this after Puerto Rico. Like, do more of your big events in different countries, like for the Australia one and stuff like that, because it gives it a different feel than the standard American crowd. Because obviously we know the big cities ready for the big events, but variety is the spice of life, baby. And the London crowds always bring it.
I just want to see the Royal Rumble in somewhere like Australia or Japan or like somewhere nuts. It would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Also, side note, do you see your favorite wrestler Drew McIntyre return on this pay-per-view?
I don't give a fuck. I hope he never comes back.
Wow, you hear that, Danny? You hear that? He is a Drew McIntyre shamer.
You know how much I've missed him since he's been gone?
I haven't missed him either.
Never missed it. Never did. Nobody misses him. That's the problem.
If he's coming back, this makes sense for him to pull out his big schlonny sword. And I don't know. He's
going to come after Roman Reigns. Woohoo.
No, please, God, no. Don't do that again. He's on Raw anyways, so he should come after
Cody.
Oh, God.
Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but you can't really have him like turn heel in his home.
No, you'd have to wait till Monday.
Ugh, I don't know. But that's still going to be over there, isn't it? I'm assuming they're not
I
flying
don't
back.
know. Let's ask
I haven't
Ray.
looked at the schedule.
Ray probably knows the schedule.
Is Ray already over there?
I don't know. I haven't seen him going to London yet. So
To London we go.
to London we go. All right. Anything else? Are you
No.
good? You want me to tell you about what's on AEW real quick?
Yes, yeah, because I didn't write it down this
Okay,
week.
AEW, I believe there is a tag match, a tornado tag match with Jericho and Sammy against Sting and Darby. Do you care about that?
Definitely do not care about that.
Okay, we have the Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament pairings being announced in Hamilton.
Well, we already know one, MJF and Adam Cole, because that's what we love to see is people feuding in a tag team together.
We hear from those two, actually. Ooh, good job. We also hear from Jungle Boy Jack Nutsack, whatever his fucking name
Jack
is.
Jerry. Jungle Boy Jack Jerry.
Jack Jerry Jack Sack. And then
Triple J.
Double J. Ishii versus Moxley in a fucking who gives a shit
except give two fucking shits about that.
Yeah, nobody cares because again, to American audiences, for the most casual fans, nobody knows who Ishii is. I know who he is, but I don't find him that impressive. And that's all I can see right now from the graphics. They've done a piss poor job promoting this week, at least in my opinion.
Well, I know because Collision's on Thursday this week, and they have 3 Owen Hart tournaments, I believe. All the first round for men that haven't happened yet, aka the non-CM Punk bracket part. I think all 3 are on Collision.
That's true. I saw a Keith Lee one. I saw all 3 that were. I can go back, and if you really want me to go back, but
it's Juice Robinson, who's actually
Juice is one of my favorite people to watch right now. Is Juice?
I mean, look,
Ricky?
Man, you know me as a CJ Parker guy, so you know I'm all about the juice.
To me, the biggest snore, Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe. Thanks for coming, Roderick.
Oh my God.
And then we have Dustin versus Powerhouse Hobbs. So
I like that.
We know that's going to be a good match. So
I like that.
But I just
and I'm assuming the women's have some too, but I don't know. I didn't look.
They don't care about the women, do they?
No, they've already done more of their matches though. So
okay.
Because Sky Blue beat Anna Jay on Rampage in a JC special.
That's true.
That. Rampage also last week better than Dynamite. This is the thing now. AEW, it's like Collision's up here, Rampage is like way down here, and Dynamite's like fucking in the shit. You can't even find it. It's buried so deep. It's like a horse stood there for 3 days and just.
I was gonna go eat something, but now that visual has made me not have anything for an appetite. So thank you for that.
Sloppy Joe, maybe some.
That's disgusting. I might actually vomit. I know this is not. I don't want to deal with it. No, thanks. On that note, I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you miss me?
Not even a little.
Yeah, you did.
Guthrie did a great job, though. You have to admit.
He did a great job, but his takes are still fucking terrible. Love you, Guthrie.
All right. On that note, thank you for listening to this week's Jobber Knocker. We hope you enjoy Money in the Bank. We'll be back next week with more Jobber Knockery.
You say I'm weird?